So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to get started freelancing, what platforms that I use to freelance, and a little bit about my freelancing journey, and then I'm going to cover some common questions I get that usually surround paperwork, and also some stuff that I like to tell people that want to get into freelancing that I wish I would have known when I first got started. I hope you find this video educational and hopefully answer some questions that you have about getting into freelancing and what you should do. And also, I'm going to touch a little bit on why I think a lot of people fail at freelancing and offer some solutions. Thank you so much for tuning in and taking the time to watch this video. And if you have any questions, please comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. I want to talk really briefly what the pros and cons about freelancing are. So the pros are pretty obvious. I think money, I feel like nobody's ever upset about having extra money in any kind of situation. I think another pro is that there's freedom. I feel like if you want to, you can say no to a project a little bit easier than like a 9-to-5 job, where I feel like in a 9-to-5 job, there's not much room for negotiation. You just kind of do what you're told. Where with freelancing, you can kind of say, hey, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z for this project, or not do some stuff. I feel like there's a lot more freedom when it comes to that. And a really awesome pro, at least I think this is great, is that freelancing gives you the opportunity to put into situations that you aren't normally put into. So, for example, I don't work with JavaScript a lot in my 9-to-5 job, but when I get asked to make a website for like a local county fair or like for a small local business, like for a weekend, I get to play with JavaScript, and I think it's really great. I actually learned Tailwind CSS for a project. It was for a website, and I had never worked with Tailwind CSS before, but in that project for making this local business a website, I got to play with it because they wanted a combination of like a template like they found, and I was like, oh, I think I found Tailwind CSS that can kind of help like make that come to life. So that's, I think, a really big pro, is that you can put yourself into situations where you're like, hey, I want to learn this tech stack, or I want to get better at something. You can pick those projects. So some cons, I think the cons of freelancing is that it's never steady. I feel like anybody that you talk to that they freelance full time, they always talk about this, how they just don't know, like, if next month it's going to be a $1,000 month versus like a $20,000 month. And for me, that's too much anxiety. But some people, they love it. I highly recommend, if you're going to go do it full time, that you have like a slush fund that can sustain you for 90 days or like a quarter, like if you have like a rough quarter. But no, I think that's a big con with freelancing. You just don't have a steady income. The other big con, I think, with freelancing is that you're always constantly bouncing around. And some people, they like this. I feel like the constant like moving from this project to the next project, and there's no consistency, not just in pay, but in the work too. I think some people thrive off of it. Some people, like, they want to know, like, hey, when I come in from X time to Y time, that I know what I'm doing. Where I think a lot of times with freelancing, you just don't know what you're going to be doing, and that can be chaotic. Oh, the other big con to freelancing is that you are in charge of all the taxes and stuff like that, which can be a major headache. Like, you got to be responsible to be setting aside money, where if you work at like a 9-to-5, your employer is responsible for pulling out the money that they need to pull out to go pay your local government and national government, where you got to be doing it, and that's a lot of administrative work. So I think the biggest like con for freelancing is that you are admin. Like, you are doing all this administrative paperwork and boring stuff. And obviously, if you're making a lot of money and you get really big, go hire somebody to go do that. But it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. I think some people love admin work, but I feel like most people that are freelancers, admin work is not fun. So yeah, like being in charge of like marketing yourself, being in charge of taking the money out for taxes, and like pretty much paying your overhead costs and all that fun stuff. It's really not fun, and I think that's the biggest con. So let me get right into it. A lot of the questions I get surround paperwork and like when to do legal stuff pretty much. So just to let everybody know, I'm in the United States and I have registered all my stuff with my state laws or in accordance to my state laws. So this varies. Definitely consult either a lawyer or somebody that knows how to start a small business before you get into it, at least in the United States. And if you're watching this from outside of the US, obviously do what your local and national laws say to do. So about the paperwork, I didn't file at first. So when I first started out, I just kind of took money under the table. I took it personally, like under my name, like I had them write a check under my name. And I think once I got past like $500, that's when I realized, okay, this is a legit business now. I gotta start treating it like one. And then I did all my filing online because thankfully in my state, they let you do that. So that's what I did. I filed as a LLC for my business, and at the time I actually was with a partner. And if you are watching this video after watching my coding journey, so I had a freelancing business before I started coding, so that was really cool and helped. So before I got into doing software engineering or getting that skill even, I was doing social media management. So I would manage like corporate or like small business social media accounts, and that's how I got started freelancing. And I also started on Upwork back in like 2019 doing just random tasks. I guess now they're called like virtual assistant tasks, but that's how I started out, and just blog writing as well. And yeah, so once I got past that $500 mark, I decided, hey, I gotta take this seriously. I got an LLC, researched my local laws, got it done, and then put all the information down for starting an LLC, and I opened a bank account. So for everybody wondering, I think the most important step, other than actually like legalizing your business entity, is getting a bank account and a credit card for it. I went with Bluevine, and I liked it because it was online, and since social media management and most of the activities that I was doing through Upwork, they were all completely online. I wanted a bank that was online as well. The other route that I thought about but I didn't go down was working with a local credit union. I think if you're starting any kind of business, local credit unions are very friendly to work with. But at the time, I lived in like California, and I knew I was going to move across the country very soon. So I was just like, no, I'm going to do something that's very digital and can move where I go, because one cool thing about having remote work like social media management and software engineering is that I can go pretty much anywhere in the world that has Wi-Fi. So, yeah. Let's see, any other paperwork that I can think of? Other than that, I mean, if you're going into business with somebody else, have a contract, keep a written ledger of any kind of purchase made for the business, like from logo design to getting it started. Just keep a record of it. I think that's really important. I don't think you need to involve a lawyer when it's something this small, but if you got like a really cool idea or something that you think needs to be protected, obviously work with a lawyer. Maybe even think about getting like NDAs. But I didn't do it in my case just because, like I said, it was social media management. I wasn't going to get too crazy with it. I just wanted to make sure that I was protected personally. So the whole point of getting an LLC is just so that your personal assets just are separate, and like, let's just say something goes wrong, they can't come after you personally, but they can come after your business. So I just did it for, like I said, legal protections and also separation of concerns. I wanted it very clear that if I was making a purchase for the business, that I was using the business debit card, using the business credit card, and not my own personal finances. And I think that's really important, especially when you're going to be paying taxes. At least I feel like no matter where you go, you gotta pay taxes, and it's very important to keep that very separate, that what's personal is personal, and what's for your business is for your business. So yeah, I think when it comes to paperwork and legal, just get your taxes straight. I think that should be your takeaway about this whole paperwork and legal thing. If you're wondering, should I do something, should I not, just think about your taxes and how you're going to file them. And at least in the United States, it's very advantageous to have a business tax-wise. So that was the other motivation on why I did it. So yeah, I think getting it as a legal entity is very good for you, especially if you're in the United States, because I feel like we get taxed all the time, and there are a lot of tax advantages that you can use, such as write-offs, and also it's just good to keep your personal and I think business separate anyways. Okay, let's talk taxes. I know, really cool topic, but I think it's really important that you get this straight. I personally work with an accountant. I think, at least in the US, if you mess up your taxes, like, you could end up going to jail. Like, that's the reality of it. So I don't risk it and do it by myself. I could if I wanted to. I think I've got the ability, but I just think don't even bother with it. There's no reason for me to waste my time reading the tax code every year that changes all the time. And like I said, just I don't want to chance it. And if something happens, like, your accountant gets audited, not you, and they got to deal with it. So obviously work with a reputable good one, because I've heard some horror stories and I'm really lucky and blessed that I've got a really good one. Talk to your friends and family and like network of people that have a small business. Usually people that's got like a small business, they've kind of done the trial and error for you and can point you in the right direction, and that's what I did. I asked a friend that has a family business and they pointed me in the best direction, and I'm really happy with my tax accountant. But do your own homework, do your research on that. But yeah, and do what makes you comfortable. Maybe if you're just starting out and like, let's say you just have one client and it's like only a couple $100 a month, you could probably get away with not hiring a tax accountant. But once you start dealing with like multiple transactions and like multiple clients or overseas stuff, yep, you might want to invest in one. And when it comes to taxes, keep a very detailed record. Like, have your receipts, have everything ready, and just so it doesn't become a mad dash at the end of the year, like, update your stuff. Like, I don't care if you use QuickBooks or whatever, or an Excel sheet, just every month, sit down, set aside at least an hour, get it caught up, so then when tax time comes around, like, for me, like, I do it like January 2nd, like literally after the new year. I'm like, okay, we're just doing it. Taxes are getting done, and I just don't want to look at it. And that's just the way I've done it. And that way I'm just not panicked. And it's never fun to be panicked about taxes. So those are my thoughts on paperwork. And I think the number two question that I get the most is how to market yourself. So like I said, I was on Upwork back in 2019 doing social media stuff. So I've kind of built up a reputation on Upwork. And if you're not sure how Upwork works, it's not like Fiverr. So I know the other big freelancing platform out there is called Fiverr. And that's where like me, like I would go on there, talk about myself, say, hey, I can build you a website, and I name my price, and obviously people would negotiate with you. But I didn't like Fiverr because of that. I think it was kind of a race to the bottom. Like, there's people on there that are like advertising $5 to make a website, and yeah, like I said, it's a lot of work for not a lot of money. Not a fan of Fiverr, but on Upwork, that's the one that I am on, you pretty much find a whole listings of jobs, so I like it. It's just like, it's endless. There's like millions of jobs on there, and you apply to it, you put in, I think they call it like a cover letter, where you go, hi, like, my name is so-and-so, and this is the work that I've done in the past. I feel like I'd be a really good fit for the job that you posted, and you list your credentials and anything like testimonials from other people that have worked with you, and you go on ahead and apply, and hopefully they like your profile and you work something out. I like Upwork because they do the contracting for you when you're not using a platform like Upwork. You got to come up with the contracts for yourself, which is fine. The one big downside to Upwork, and a lot of people complain about it, is I think they take 20% of your earnings. I used to really hate that. Like, I remember I got really upset over it, but honestly, I've had a couple of situations happen because one beautiful thing and also kind of scary thing about Upwork and freelancing in general is that, especially if you're in a remote situation like me with your work, is that you can work with anybody in the whole world, which is awesome, but it gets really tricky when you're dealing with like overseas currencies like US dollar versus like the euro or what have you. And the other thing too is that sometimes people can be sketchy. Like they don't pay you, stuff happens, and I like that with Upwork that no matter what happens, I get paid. Like I've had this happen a couple of times where they just didn't pay me, something happened, or they tried to do something kind of a little bit illegal slash fishy, and Upwork just went after them. Like I didn't have to do anything. All I did was report it and just say, hey, this is what happened, and I just want to get paid, and that's it. And Upwork paid me, and Upwork's lawyers, or I don't know what ended up happening, they went after them, and I never had to talk to anybody ever again. So I don't mind the 20% fee. I think it's really good. It protects you. So yeah. So that's one way I get my clients is Upwork. I've got a pretty good amount. I'm very lucky that I've got some very consistent clients on there where, like I said, there's not much I have to do, and we've just kind of had a set it and forget it type of relationship. Like I feel like I know them very well, they know me very well, and the scope of work is very clear, and some of them I've had a relationship for years. So I really love Upwork, can't recommend it enough. I haven't ever employed anybody, but it sounds like from people that I've talked to that have employed people, they're very happy with Upwork because of that relationship. So that's what I gotta say about Upwork. So the other way to get clients, and I think this is the one that makes up the majority of my business versus Upwork, is just word of mouth. If you're just first getting started, I say market to your friends and family and your own personal network. I think you'd be really surprised to see like a friend of a friend, maybe not a direct relative, or like a mutual connection of another mutual connection actually needs your services. And a great way to let people know is just to be like, hi, I'm so and so, I'm a software engineer, or I'm a web developer. And it's such a great, wonderful tool to just introduce yourself like that and get into the habit of that. And before you know it, people are recommending you, and it's word of mouth. And so if you're watching this video and you're from the 100 Devs community, so this is a community that is a community taught boot camp, and these people are trying to learn how to code. And if you're interested in learning how to code, I actually have a whole video on how I went from 0 to hired as a software engineer in 4.5 months, and I will link that below. But if you're coming from the 100 Devs community, I hope you have watched this video, and I will also link this video below. So if you're coming from the 100 Devs community, and I hope you are, because a lot of you guys actually did ask for this video, but in the 100 Devs community, Leon has a whole video and a section about freelancing. It's actually part of the program. You must freelance in order to do it. And I hope you watched that video. If not, I've linked it below. I don't care where you're at in the 100 Devs process or whatever. I think it's a phenomenal video on how to freelance, and he does discuss how to get contracts, stuff like that. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse or try to beat what he's done. He's done a phenomenal job, so I'm going to just link that. Please go watch it if you haven't. But Leon talks about this really cool character from one of my favorite shows of all time called The Office, and it's this guy, his name is Vance, and every time he introduces himself, no matter what on that whole show, he goes, hi, I'm Vance with Vance Refrigeration, and it's crazy. I don't think I've watched that show in a minute, but if you bring up Vance, automatically my brain goes, hey, I'm Vance with Vance Refrigeration. So I think it's really important to just get into the habit of introducing yourself like, hi, my name is Marcia, I'm a software engineer, I'm really good at automating stuff away, stuff like that. Just kind of get into the habit of that. And if you don't have a network, go on to Meetup, go on to Eventbrite, find other professionals that are doing what you do. And I think by doing that, you're just going to expand your network, and before you know it, people are going to be asking for you. So the majority of my freelancing experience has just been word of mouth. Like I got onto one project, and then when the project was done, I got asked to do another one, and that's just kind of my life. I don't have to do as many freelancing projects now, just because I've got a good 9 to 5, but I love that I have freelancing in the back of my pocket if I ever need it, and also it's just really cool to have extra income. As you know, economy, it's kind of hard these days, so having any sort of extra source of income is really good to have. But yeah. Ooh, question that I got a lot was how to market yourself. So I personally market myself on Upwork, and like I said, word of mouth. Other places that I've had success with is Twitter, or X. Sorry, Elon Musk, but it's called X now. But I would always share my coding journey on X and just come up with just random stuff, and you'd be surprised. Like, I think I've gotten like 2 actual solid like offers off of X, and just because people saw what I was doing, they thought it was interesting, and yeah, they hired me, and this is what we do. And let's see, where else? I've had a lot of success weirdly on TikTok too, just sharing my coding journey. Someone will reach out and just be like, hey, can you make me a website? And I'll be like, yeah, and do it in a month for them, and it's pretty sweet. So I'd say TikTok and X are the other places. LinkedIn, but LinkedIn lately has been very scammy. Like even for part-time and full-time gigs too. Like sometimes when I get like a DM, like I gotta just double check that it's not like a scam, or like they're not trying to like do some weird phishing thing. So yeah, I was gonna say LinkedIn, but now it's gotten a little bit scammy. I've heard people have good luck with LinkedIn, but for me personally, it's just been a lot of scams. I think I had like a couple legit ones, but I didn't want to do it because the scope of the work didn't match. But yeah, so I'd say Twitter/X and TikTok and LinkedIn have been another favorite, in addition to Upwork for platforms that I use to market myself. Other than that, I've seen other web developers, like just through networking, they get a lot of luck, at least in small towns, with like the placemats. You know what I'm talking about? Like when you go to like a Grease Spoon, like family diner type thing, and you get like the placemats and it's got like detailing or animal auction stuff on it. If not, you don't live in a small town, I totally get it. But here in America, in small towns, a lot of small businesses like to advertise on the placemats, and I've heard a lot of people actually have success with this. I haven't tried it personally, but I'm pretty sure it works, because why would all these people be doing this if it didn't work? So something to try out maybe. Other than that, I know people have tried mailers, flyers, posting on Craigslist, but once again, I don't feel confident about the safety of posting on Craigslist, but if you feel safe about it, go on ahead and do so. But yeah, I'll stick to Upwork, X, TikTok, and sometimes LinkedIn, but other than that, I think that's all I got for how to market yourself. I think the most important and best way to market yourself is word of mouth. So get talking, get networking, start letting your friends and family know what you're up to, and best of luck on that. Let me think about other stuff that people have asked me. I think when it comes to the most questions I get asked, it's about paperwork, like legal type of stuff, banking, and yeah, how to market yourself. I'm trying to think of anything else. I think it's also really important that you have goals in mind of what your business is going to do, but be very flexible about it. So I started my business like 2020, so oh my gosh, it's been 4 years, and my business has shifted like really hard, like I think 3 times. So like I said, I started out doing social media marketing, like blog writing content, to now I'm more doing like technical writing, software engineering, and I think I only have like just one project when it comes to like social media marketing, and like I totally left it behind. Once I learned coding, it's just a higher value skill. Like, so I went from making like what like a little bit better than minimum wage doing social media like marketing stuff to now making and like asking like very confidently 100 to 200 bucks an hour for my time as a software engineer. And yeah, I guess some words of advice that I have for you when you're freelancing: don't expect overnight success. Like, I think when I first started out, like, and I did this in the middle of the pandemic, like, this is crazy. So, like, I started my business in the middle of the pandemic. I think I was making like 50 bucks a month at first, which it's not a lot, but like at the time, like my only goal was like if I could just cover my Netflix bill and Starbucks, like for me going to Starbucks is like such a treat. So I told myself I could just go to Starbucks once a month and know that like what I made at my business would cover that. That was a win. Then I was like, okay, I want it to cover my Netflix, and on and on and on to where we're at now, where I'm able to get like $5,000 a month or in one project. I think now I'm more of a project-based type of situation too. That's another thing that I want to get into is project-based versus being hourly. I think if you can, try to go by the milestone or project versus hourly, because hourly you just sell your time, and at the end of the day people want to see results. They don't really care about hours, I feel like. And if they do care about hours, personally, this is just me, I would run. I'd be like, this is not an opportunity for me. I go by project, and I think that's more fair because think about it, like building a website, for example, depending on who you're working with, and this is why it's so important, before you even agree on a price, that you sit down with whoever you're gonna work with and hash out like what they exactly want. Because let's take the example of like if you get asked to build a website. Let's say this is a photography website. Like, if you want to with a photography website, you can do that in like an hour. Like, even if you were coding completely from scratch and not using like WordPress or Squarespace or whatever. And like, that's so easy. Like, if all this photographer wanted was just like their name, like where to contact them, and like how to get paid pretty much, or like access and links to the gallery, that'll take you an hour. Versus, let's say you're working with like a small business, and let's say the small business sells like a bunch of craft stuff and they want it so people can get on there and buy and sell all their products, but also at the same time they want it to track inventory. They're going to use this website to go pay people. Like, that's going to require way more work. And maybe on top of that, let's just say they want something that's super sleek, super modern, or maybe they want a design that's totally original and like not a template. Let's just think about that. That's a lot more work than just, like I said, that photography business where you're in and out in an hour probably coding. In the second scenario that I'm describing, this could take a week, if not a month, depending on how complex they want this to be. So that's my other advice to you is whenever you take on a client, especially that first client, be very clear about what the expectations are. And I always like to draw stuff out and just like let them know, hey, at the end of this, I just want to make sure like the deliverables are X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, and I make very clear what the deliverables are in my proposal. And once that's agreed upon, I go on ahead and make that contract with them, and I set the amount just based on how long I think it's going to take, and then I have my own personal hourly rate. Everybody's hourly rate is going to be different starting out versus once you get experience and a bunch of people recommending you. So you just adjust and see what's fair. You got to do your research, figure out what the market rate is where you live, and obviously Google's your friend. ChatGPT is also your friend too. So I think it's pretty awesome. The whole point of me doing this exercise is to let you guys know and understand that you got to be very clear with what your deliverables are before you determine price. And based off of that, I would just go off of your hourly rate, like just kind of have one in the back of your brain of based on your ability and experience, and kind of guesstimate like how long it'll take and go off of that. I know some people they like to be hourly billed. I don't like it personally. I think hourly isn't good. I feel like project based makes more sense and it's just more tangible. You can like I said, you can go back to your list of deliverables and be like, yeah, this happened, whatever, or no, this didn't happen. And I feel like with hourly, you just kind of get pulled into a trap, and I just don't think, at least a lot of businesses, they are not paying by hour unless it's like a super menial job, like if you're doing like data entry or something. But that's just my 2 thoughts or 2 cents. And some people, they love hourly, so do what makes you comfortable. But personally, I'd rather go by project because I feel like people, they pay for results. At least when it comes to the work that I do, I think they like me because I give them results, not because I'm there for 30 hours or whatever. I feel like hours don't matter unless you're like at a 9 to 5. All right, other than taxes, legal work, stuff like that, being very clear with your clients, I think this part I feel like stops people from freelancing more than anything. It's just that they won't go do it. I don't know what it is. I can't really explain it. I think it's imposter syndrome, but a lot of the times I feel like I talk to people, a lot of friends, family, just people on the internet that ask me about freelancing, and when I have these conversations and like I'm telling them everything that I'm telling you, and I check in with them like a couple months later, they just haven't done any of the work. And I will admit and be real with you, it does take effort. It does take work, especially starting off. It's gonna be hard, and you're probably not gonna see a return. Like I think the first year, like I was averaging, like I said, $50 a month, and if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, that was like barely $500 at the end of the year, and that's not a lot. But like, if I had given up in that first year instead of sticking it out, and I think around like year 2.5 is when I like started to see it turn around, and I was like, oh my gosh, like just landed a $10,000 contract versus just $100 contract. That's when I really got traction and started to really reap the benefits. But don't give up. I feel like this is like a common theme in my videos, but a lot of people I think just give up too early. I mean, if you go to my like how to learn how to code, it's never about talent, strangely. Like I feel like I meet people with way more talent that are better coders than me, that are even more like business savvy, like just naturally, you know what I mean? Like people that are more naturally business savvy, have more talent, or are just intellectually smarter than me, but they just don't do it. I don't know. I don't have an explanation for this, but I think that's the number one thing that whenever people ask me like, what do you see when people fail? It's just they give up too early. Or they expect like a higher return. I kind of blame social media for this. Like everybody's out here like with clickbait stuff going, I made like $1 million gazillion dollars selling courses or doing whatever they do, and it's just not the case. It's just you're gonna start small, and I think same with YouTube. Like right now, I'm just starting out as a YouTuber, and yeah, like I think for years I had less than like 100 like people following my stuff, and now I decided to like finally not give up on myself and actually put in real effort and have a schedule for myself. That's the other thing too. I've noticed that people that have a schedule for whether they're learning how to code, trying a whole new hobby, or what have you, people that have like, okay, at this time I'm gonna be doing this, succeed way better. I think it's called time boxing, but people that set aside time for stuff, like on their schedule, or just have a habit or a ritual, like no matter what I'm feeling, I'm gonna be doing this, those are the people that succeed. And people that like they're okay with not seeing results so quickly, I think that's important to keep in mind. Yeah, so that's my message. Just don't give up so easily on yourself, and really believe in yourself. I don't think it has anything to do with talent, honestly. I thought like before, like to be a freelancer and be very good at it, you had to be super talented and super smart. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's just believing in yourself, not giving up, and being very confident that you will make it right no matter like what kind of hurdle that you face. I think that's what's going to make you successful as a freelancer, and it's not your talent, as crazy as it is. But yeah, so that's my message to you and anybody starting out. Just don't like don't stop betting on yourself, pretty much, and always believe in yourself, and don't get carried away in the money at first. I mean, obviously, at the like once you get going as a business, it's important to be profitable and like keep track of your revenue and all that stuff. But like, be okay with the fact that you're not making it at first. Like I said, the first year, I barely like cracked $1,000. I don't think I did even, and now like 4 years later, like $1,000 project, like I say no. Like if it's $1,000 project, I pretty much go, no, I ain't doing it. Like I can command more. So just know it's gonna be rough starting out, but as they say, like the best time to plant a tree, like it's kind of like investing. Like it was yesterday. Like same with like doing any kind of business. The best time to start a business was yesterday. The second best time is to do it today. And it's just like a tree. Like you're not gonna see anything the first couple of years, but once you've planted that seedling and you just continue to take care of it and have a little faith in yourself, you're gonna get there. I think it's almost inevitable. So keep that in the back of your brain, and I know you can do it. I think anyone can do it if you put in the effort and the time and have some grace on yourself. You're gonna mess up. I feel like this is something that I can't stress enough. If you're going into business for anything, but especially freelancing, you're gonna mess up, and it's okay. Just make sure you have help. This is why I think it's so important that you have a mentor, somebody that is also doing this. And also another thing too, I think it's really, really important, especially if you're a freelancer, to find networks locally that have a bunch of other freelancers, because chances are they probably face the same exact crap that you're going through. And there's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen with freelancing. I'm really lucky that thanks to the internet, and this is another thing too, they don't have to like physically be in your area too. I have a call every Tuesday. Shout out to Katie. I'm gonna shout out her channel as well. She is a full-time freelancer, like mad respect for her. But if you're also interested in like homesteading, like high quality homesteading content, you should check out her channel. We're gonna be doing some collaborations in the future too, but yeah, I think so. I have a call, like a standing call with her every week, and we just go over stuff. And obviously, it's fun. It's not all business. Like we talk personal too, but I just think it's really great that I have somebody that I can talk to on the other side of the country in the United States that is going through the same stuff that I'm going through, and we can go, hey, listening to each other's problems. And I think when you have a third person view like that they're not like in the muck of it like you are, they can actually offer you some solid advice. And we've had countless situations where we go, okay, this is a bit of a weird situation that I'm in. What do you think I should do if you were me? And I think having that sounding chamber or like think tank between other entrepreneurs is going to be very helpful. I'm also part of a local group here as well, where we all get together as entrepreneurs and we just talk about what we're doing, bounce ideas off of each other, or even just discuss like some of the problems we're going through. So have a mentor, have a community. Once again, it's so important that you just have a community for what you're doing, because if you go through it alone, it can be a really lonely path, and I feel like that's what contributes to a lot of people giving up early. You got this. I believe in you. I have confidence and faith that you will make it work and do what's right. And as long as you put your best forward, things will work out for you. Thank you so much for listening. Bye now.